Welcome, listeners, to Drew's Weekly, the Wood Brothers podcast that breaks down this week's episode of the WWE Network's NXT. It's May the 2nd, 2018, and we've got Kairi Sane. We've got Candice LeRae versus Bianca Belair, and we've got the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne in a grudge match against former tag team partner and newest Undisputed Era member Roderick Strong in an absolute monster main event. And we have so much more. I'm Drew, and let's get it started. This week's show opens cold with the Undisputed Era cutting one of their should-be famous four-man promos. Man, can these guys talk. With only a couple of minutes, Cole, Fish, O'Reilly, and Strong all got their words in, and they all managed to take jabs at not only Strong's opponent tonight, but also at Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, presumably setting something up for the bruising duo to take on the Undisputed Era at some point in the future. Cole closes out the promo, and we slide into the intro song. Percy and Morrow welcome us back to NXT, noting that Nigel is once again out tending to his expanding family. Good for that dude. But we don't waste any time as the action slides directly to Kairi Sane's entrance to take on newcomer Shazza McKenzie. Shazza McKenzie. Shazza. That's fun. The match opens with a show of respect, and the two lock up. Ultimately, Sane makes relatively short work of the pink-clad Shazza, felling the Australian with an Alabama slam into one of my favorite finishers in the company right now, that insane elbow. As Sane celebrates her victory, Full Sail is treated to an appearance from Lacey Evans. Oh, that's nice. Oh, she's come out to apologize to Sane for how she's treated her since she arrived, and oh, that's nice. Oh, that's real nice. There's no possible way this could go. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess there's that. Well, so it looks like Sane's next rivalry in the black and yellow brand will be against the hard-hitting Evans. This could make some entertaining wrestling as this stacked and ever-improving women's division continues to jockey for position in the hunt for Shayna Baszler's NXT Women's Championship. We get Candice LeRae backstage for an interview, and she is clearly still all shook from Johnny Wrestling's beatdown at the end of last week's episode. Distracted, sad, overwhelmed. Candice looks to attempt to prepare for her match after cutting the interview short, and Morrow proceeds to hype us up for the upcoming match against the red-hot Bianca Belair. The fallout from this Ciampa Gargano war will likely be a focal point of not only the careers of these two men, but also on Candice, who has a chance to be a very large part of a very large story. A Lars Sullivan promo pops up on the screen, essentially to remind us that with Sanity and a lot of the other talent headed up to the main roster, Sullivan is about to waltz right into the main event picture. I mean, it's well-deserved after all of his battles with Killian Dane and that incredible ladder match in New Orleans. This guy's a bona fide monster. Switching gears now, we go back to the ring with some high-octane tag team wrestling. And we all know how much Drew loves his tag team wrestling. This week, the Street Profits are taking on the mighty TM61 in an incredibly athletic affair with four performers that all exude potential. The match starts out flashy and athletic, including this bonkers-assisted jumping double dropkick, but quickly the match kind of slowed down to a more traditional tag team match's pace. Ultimately, Thorne and Miller picked up the win for TM61 after Miller rolled up forward and stole the 3 count with a rope and partner-assisted pin. With the loss of a few notable heel tag teams in recent weeks, this turn comes well-timed, and it'll be interesting to see how all 4 members of these men stretch their legs in the division moving forward. Speaking of tag teams, we get a package for the brewing feud between 2 monster teams, War Raiders and Heavy Machinery. The package is great, really building hype for this collision of monsters, but what sold me is this tale of the tape. Look at those numbers! The size of this tag match is unreasonable. The combined weights. The only teams on the main roster who could have a clash of this size are Authors of Pain at an insane 620 pounds combined, and the Bludgeon Brothers at 590. Look forward to this monster fight next week on the show. We go to Cassius Ohno backstage to comment on the beatdown of his buddy Johnny Gargano last week on the show. The knockout artist is furious, and he challenges Tommaso Ciampa. Now, I love me some Ohno. And I love me some Ciampa, and I think we can all agree that when these two guys show down next week on the show, it's going to be a hard-hitting affair. We get the in-ring re-debut of the finest, Kona Reeves. facing off against Patrick Scott. Scott doesn't really get much offense in during this obvious showcase for the returning Reeves, who eventually picks up the win with a modified facebuster Samoan drop. I'm not impressed. At least not so far. Prove me wrong, Kona Reeves. In a pre-recorded interview, Dakota Kai just can't shake whatever's bothering her about Shayna Baszler, and I can't help but feel like people should probably just stop asking her about it. Naturally, Vanessa Bourne interjects her opinion to a group of people who didn't ask her any questions, and suddenly we have the beginnings of a nice little filler feud between these two. And now we're on to the second last match and the second last segment of the night in a battle of Mae Young Classic competitors with Bianca Belair taking on Candice LeRae. Candice hits the ring first, and she is not feeling it. Evidently, the emotion we saw in her interview earlier in the show has gotten the best of her. Belair's ready to go, though, and she certainly won't be stepping down from the fight. The match opens with some quality grappling and a few working holds before we start to see some fast offense from LeRae. But between Belair's power offense and LeRae's distracted brain, it's not enough to sustain the level of attack that the smaller competitor needs. Belair counters a crossbody into a body slam and proceeds to demonstrate further by deadlifting LeRae from the ground, carrying her across the ring in a military press, and eventually dropping her into Snake Eyes. Belair's power was really the star of this match. Candice attempts some late offense, but Belair counters a tornado DDT into the alley-oop for the win. And a big win it was for Bianca Belair as the women continue to shuffle for power in their division. And right off of the heels of that match, we are riding straight on into the main event. The Bruiserweight hits the ring to a lot of love from the Full Sail faithful. Dunne's always ready for a fight, but he's even more fun to watch when he's got personal feelings fueling his fire. Strong hits the ring and officially says goodbye to his old theme music, playing the first 10 seconds or so before it cut out to shock the system. Goodbye, Roddy's old theme song. I've already forgotten you. The grudge match feel of this absolute car wreck of a wrestling match exploded from the second the bell rang, as Dunne relentlessly attacked his betrayer with a dizzying array of strikes. The action in this one was frenetic, as Dunne and Strong both brought the hard-hitting styles they're famous for, but really amped up the drama to sell the grudge. A great exchange on the outside of the ring saw Roddy take control with a dropkick from the apron, and a brutal torture rack backbreaker onto the ring apron. Strong would continue to wear down the Bruiserweight with stinging offense and those brutal chops. Oh, yeah. Remember Daniel Bryan's chest from the Greatest Royal Rumble? Yeah, that. Yeah, that was Roderick Strong. After some more incredible offense from both men that saw Strong hit an avalanche Olympic slam on the UK champion, Dunne kicked out and managed to hit bitter end on Strong for the pinfall victory. Or it would have been the pinfall victory. Except that Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly stormed the ring and attacked Pete Dunne to cause the disqualification. Cole and O'Reilly continued the beatdown on Dunne until Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan stormed the ring to make the save, not only confirming my theory from earlier about the two feuding with the Undisputed Era, but also beating Adam Cole down so hard they knocked his sneaker off. Dunne pitches the sneaker out of the ring at Cole to send the crowd home happy. So there you have it, folks. Another week in the books for the WWE Network's NXT. A good week for the Undisputed Era, a bad week for Candice LeRae, and Pete Dunne threw a shoe. Join me next week when we take a look at Cassius Ohno versus Tommaso Ciampa and the NXT TV debut of EC3 and so much more.